Okay, so next up we have Eugene Soh, and he will be presenting on art and tech for good. Eugene Soh, aka Dude, okay, is a computer programmer who accidentally became an artist when his photographic piece, contextualizing Da Vinci's Last Supper in a local hawker center setting, surfaced on social media in 2012. That discovery, with its tongue-in-cheek commentary on contemporary life in Singapore, catapulted him into the art world. He has since been a full-time artist delving in art and technology with a passion for virtual and augmented reality. His recent VR company, Mind Palace, focuses on patients with dementia and their caregivers with the purpose of improving the physical and mental well-being of elderly Singaporeans. Okay. Eugene?
Testing. Hello. Hi, I'm Eugene from Dude Studios and also Mind Palace. So from the beginning of last year, right, I had a lot of spare virtual reality headsets because I made a game, a virtual reality game, and it was exhibited as an artwork at a few places. So that game was where you control a little puppy to run around a HDB flat. So there wasn't a controller back then, it was a phone inside a headset. So what you do is to tilt your head left and right, and then the puppy navigates around the HDB flat. And the puppy will automatically leave behind poop everywhere. It's shitting everywhere in the HDB flat. So, and it's multiplayer. So what happens is, you will try to shit in front of the other puppy so that they will touch your shit and they'll explode. So that was my artistic expression in the virtual reality world. So one of my friends who knew nursing home, he asked me, why don't you bring your virtual reality headsets there? Then I was like, what, you want to let them play puppy poop run? But no, he was like, no, you can use it to bring them around the world. And I thought that was a great idea. So I went there and I brought them around the world. I played YouTube videos for them. And then we did that quite a bit. I noticed some problems, like sometimes after the YouTube video ends and then they will still have it on, then we don't know what they're seeing, and then they're still looking around. Then we realized, after we take it down, we realized that he has been looking at a pause video for 15 minutes. So, yeah, 15 minutes is an exaggeration, but maybe 2 minutes. So I did that for a while, then Channel News Asia noticed me, which is this video. They featured me in a 1-hour episode where I did virtual reality for elderly. I actually taught four elderly folks how to code, and they made a virtual reality game for the rest of the nursing home residents. So they were the younger elderly, and the more tech savvy. They are I forgot what they call it, but they call themselves like the tech ambassadors. So they are very good. They managed to make the game. Whoops. And then after that, I became the virtual reality for elderly folks guy. After this episode, everybody was asking me to come down and talk about virtual reality for elderly, including this one. I don't know if you all heard of it, the Enabling Festival last year, where it was a 3-day festival all focused on dementia. At that time, I did not have a demo for just dementia. I had those, I made an app that specially sent them to everywhere, wherever they requested. We will play the app and make sure that it will loop or at least make a sound that, so that we know that it has looped one time, and then we will change the video for them. So I didn't have a demo back then, but 1 week before that, I joined a hackathon. It's called Startup Weekend, and I decided, hey, why don't for this hackathon, I create a demo for the dementia talk, so that I have a demo for the dementia talk, and then I can use this for the hackathon also. And then, spoiler alert, we won the hackathon first prize. So, and the hackathon was organized by Startup Weekend and GovTech. and it's the government people. Then so with that 1 year experience, with this they kind of signal to me to make it into a full-fledged thing. I have to make it a full-fledged thing already, which I have already. So with my 1 year experience of doing virtual reality for the elderly, I'll share with you what I've learned. So motion sickness, it is a huge thing. Back then I was using this one is a handphone inside a headset. So the frame rate of the cell phone might not be very high, maybe 30 FPS, and it will give motion sickness to those who are prone to it. So that's like 1 in 5, which is very dangerous already, especially for some of these elderly folks. They might not be good in health, and then if you give them motion sickness, it will make it even worse. Then if it's very terrifying to see him pale face and want to puke. And so another thing is you cannot, for this generation of elderly, you cannot expect them to interact. Maybe in 5 years' time, when some of the more tech-savvy one grew up, they would be more willing to interact with the tech. But for now, this generation in Singapore cannot expect them to learn how to interact with the tech so fast. The video should also be on Autoloop, so it doesn't pause, because they can't tell whether it's a pause frame, because if it's a pause 360 video, it will still react when you look around, but it's the last frame, and there's nothing much you can look at except for the YouTube video. It is a play button, which they were just constantly looking at it, and they don't realize that it's the end. But if they're entertained, then that's fine also. But to me, I feel like it should be Autoloop. The caregiver should have more control without having to remove the headset, which is what I felt when I was doing it. When I was doing it for them, I felt like I needed to be able to switch the video for them without having to plug it out and then go and look at the thing myself and switch it or take out the handphone. Is so troublesome. So the caregiver should be able to remotely do that for them while they are putting it on. This is all for convenience, and all the content should be offline. Previously, I did it all like on YouTube, and then you go to different parts of the nursing home, then you have to connect to different Wi-Fi. It is madness, I tell you. So all content should be on the phone, on the device. And can this be used for therapy? So for 1 year, most of the time I go there one time, go around everybody, but been thinking about how we can do it such that we can maybe do it once a day. Then we can ask them, oh, did you remember where you went yesterday? This would like trigger their memory, stimulate their minds a bit. So with the Mind Palace, with the Oculus, this is a new one that I brought in. I was about to give up on the VR already because I saw too many people with motion sickness. I was about to give up, then I decided to give the Oculus a try. And it solved the motion sickness. There is a minimal, very little, and definitely nobody puked already. And with this, right, the Oculus Rift, not Oculus Rift, Oculus Go, it comes with a little remote, which I have now programmed to my custom app, so that if you press a button, it changes the video. Swipe here, it will go back. Press the middle button, it pauses, and then you can kind of choose. And the best thing would be if I can see the screen of what they're seeing, but to do that, it is quite complicated. It'll be too troublesome. So I put in audio cues. Because of how this thing is built, the audio comes out of speakers here. It is not, as a carer, you can hear. So audio cues, I have planted them inside the video so that I can know they are watching the Great Wall of China. They are on the safari. They are on a beach. I can know, so I can switch accordingly. Then I have a list over here on paper of all the videos and over here, this is my test of the motion sickness on my own grandmother. And my aunties. So they are very prone to motion sickness. So if they are okay with it, everybody else is okay with it. And they tested the worst things like roller coaster rides, because they are my own family, so I wouldn't get into too much trouble if I tried this with them. So the carer's role, I've explained with the app that I've developed, we can adjust the VR environment for them, and then as a carer we can plan every day what they can see or what they should be seeing or what they request to see, because you get to know them after a while. You know that, oh, she actually wants to go to this place, or she actually wants to visit another place in Singapore. Whether we have content for that, it can be requested. And if it's in Singapore, it'll be way easier also, because we can take a 360 camera like this and then bring it over there. And the technology, I don't know if you realize the technology that's happening now. This 360 camera is actually live feeding to a lot of places. So for the elderly folks in a nursing home, they can actually be here. They can put on the goggles and they will be there, and I can be saying hi to them live. Is that quite amazing? So, whoops, I clicked this thinking it was the mouse button, but it wasn't. So this is the menu that I showed them during one of the trials at Society for the Aged Sick. They can choose and then go accordingly. So what I learned is that even for some of them are afraid of heights, even though they are sitting on the bed, they're sitting. But then, if the video shows like a panoramic flyover of the Great Wall of China, they'll feel like, oh, it is too high. It actually affects them emotionally, and if there is a beautiful scenery, it really affects them very positively. So it has the potential to really engage them and decrease their apathy. It would really engage them. This is the power of the Oculus Go, and they're going to release a new one soon, which I think they delayed a bit, so I don't know what's going on. I can't wait for that to come out. So the benefits, it decreases apathy and stimulates the brain. This is all to prevent dementia. So for mid-stage dementia, what can we do for them? So to remember loved ones, meaningful conversations, surround them with familiarity, or like let's say a dementia patient is at home already, and then he or she keeps saying, I want to go home, although they are already at home. It's because their minds think that they are living in a place that an older house that maybe doesn't exist anymore, maybe it does. But what we can do is to bring them back to that house. So this was the demo that I did for the hackathon. This is a mind palace that I built for myself and my older house with my family. And if you can see just now that picture, it was my family with my sister. My sister is here. She's visiting Singapore. She flew in from Boston and is here for a while only, and then is going to China. So I drag her along here. So for those who can't wear headsets, maybe it would, even for the severely sensitive to motion sickness, they can't wear headsets, they are not left out, because we can do this projection mapping, not projection mapping, this motion sensor projection virtual tour, where they go in front of the projector and they wave their hands left and right, like Minority Report. They can navigate the virtual world and explore also, so they are not left out also. This installation is what I made and is exhibited now at the National Gallery, the 4th floor at the Architecture Gallery. So you can go there and try it out, and I'll use the same technology for the nursing homes also. This is for those who are uncomfortable with the headsets, or if people don't want to keep sharing the headsets because it sticks to the face. Although I have a hygienic mask there to be more hygienic, sometimes people get a bit it gets a bit unhygienic still. So this is for those who are not comfortable with that. So these are the people that I've been for a few. I think some of y'all might be working with them? Anyone? Oh, okay. And for now, we are supported by Temasek and Startup X, who are funding us and giving us mentors and really helping us out. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Eugene. So I guess we have a little bit of time. I was going to maybe invite the floor for any questions if you
Okay.
had. Yeah. Yeah, because I think we are on time. We are actually early, so we are 10 minutes from the end of the session. Okay, I had a question. So, Eugene, so you mentioned, I think it's interesting to see Eugene's presentation because I think maybe for art therapists like ourselves, for some of us who are art therapists, it gives us an idea of the different types of digital media that we can delve into, right? And I think just now you mentioned, like maybe it can be used in therapy work, right? And sometimes I think for us, some of these digital media can be so broad, okay, that we don't know what things we can try out. So I think in sharing this, I think it's good to see. Like for example, you mentioned like there are, maybe your recommendations would be that it's to be used offline, and then there's the issue of motion sickness, right? So I guess also the question that I had was in terms of like where do you see yourself in this picture? Because is it a population that you were keen to work with, or is it something that just came along to you?
Yeah, I was always keen to work with them, just that I didn't have a way to enter. I guess my friend, when he introduced me to the nursing home, I jumped on it. I jumped on it, and it turned out very rewarding for us and also the residents. So I continued doing it, and I guess it brought us to where we are now.
I think even just observing like how the participants kind of responded to the media, I think it gives us a sense of how I think digital media has therapeutic and sensory qualities as well, because it's really encouraging them to engage in like spatial in the spatial virtual world, and I think it's also relevant also in the context of arts and health. I think now artists are also interested in helping, and I think it goes to show that the work the work that artists do can also intersect with those of art therapists. It's just kind of a thought that I had, Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question? I just have a comment. I think this is rather fascinating, and I think it's important to collaborate with people who are familiar with people with dementia, because I can also see later stages, somebody in the later stage of dementia who, oftentimes with that particular group, they wander. And rather than restraining them, tying them down or whatever, which unfortunately is sometimes part of the practice, I could imagine full wall size projections or whatever it was that you just showed us, where people could be walking and getting tapping into some of that energy that's endless, and it might tap into some of the I want to go home, and it might be stimulating to have to simulate some kind of walks or scenarios or something.
That's a good idea. And let's go to that projection one. Yeah, and it is also a good idea for projection for those in late stage dementia, because sometimes you put it over them, they might be aggressive, they will hit the thing away. But if projections, then it is a lot easier to wheel them into the room. Yeah.
Have you collaborated with other healthcare professionals when you go to these settings?
Yes, at Society for the Aged Sick, they have their own therapists, and then with the head nurse, we'll go around, and they know the residents, so they are friends with them. They know what they can take, and they will recommend residents, and for some residents they will say, oh, this one if you pass the thing to them, the headset to them, they will keep it. They will say that, oh, it's mine now. So you cannot do that for them. So yeah, I would go with the people who know them first.
I just think this has a huge scope. I mean, not just with people with dementia, but what about people with stroke as well? Have you considered that?
Yes, all this is done with people with just elderly residents in general, with the purpose of preventing dementia. So the ones who already have dementia, it is to recreate places that they might want to go. It's very highly customized. It's very highly customized. But for the general tours of going to places, that is for everybody, including terminally ill children also. So like Make-A-Wish Foundation, sometimes if it's too far away, we'll bring them to 3 places instead of 1.
Okay. Oh, yeah, come on.
Hi, I'm just curious, is this technology expensive, and how complex is it to set up one scenario?
Oh yes, that's an excellent question, because I went through all the VR technologies, because the HTC Vive and everything, and I really hate the HTC Vive. Every time I go to a place, I have to set up everything. It's so troublesome. So trust me, this is very convenient already. It is. I went to the even more convenient one where it's a handphone inside Google Cardboard. That's the most convenient, but that one has motion sickness. So this is the best of all worlds. And then expensive wise, I guess the most expensive thing is the time that I took to develop the app on this thing. The thing itself, it costs about $300, $400. It's from Facebook, so you can actually own one of these and play with the apps that they have made. But with my app, I've customized it such that the carers can control, and it is specialized for 2 people to use. But I know this is only for the current generation. I'm doing it for the current generation. Maybe 2 years down the road, everybody would know how to use it already, so I would change my app accordingly.
Just to add on to that, actually, besides the Oculus Go that Eugene brought, we actually do have 5 other Oculus Go's on the desk, okay? And they can be used later on when we have handed over the stream to the other sites. You can actually get to experience that and see these similar streams in 360. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you're using this Oculus for older people, right? So how long each time the session? Is it like half an hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Or
It's around 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes.
That's the max?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It can be longer, but sometimes it get a bit hot around the eyes, so we kind of make sure that it's not fogging up. We take it off, and then if it's okay, then if they want some more, then we can continue. But there was one who took very long. I think he has a bit of dementia also, so he went through all of this, and after he finished this one, he went, okay, I want this one again. And then we let him try. Then after a while, we got to like, oh, so sorry, we have to go already and apologize. But he wasn't angry at all. He was very nice.
I've used VR in art therapy work, and I think usually if you look at some of the research out there, I think there's recommendations for the use of maybe like around 30 minutes at max, and then like take a break kind of thing, if you need to.
Yeah, 30 minutes is quite long.
Yeah, it's already quite long, yeah. Okay, any more questions? Oh, okay.
This is probably a commercial question. So where do you get your footage, and how do you get permission? If it's not your footage, how do you get permission to actually use it in this way?
I guess we have to ask them. But for now, I'm downloading YouTube videos and storing them. So, and I'm not exactly selling this. So I guess for the testing, I think it's all right. For testing, yes. Until I sell it, then I will have to eventually shoot my own footage. I have shot my own footage around here. We're using a lower end 360 camera, which I feel it is less. It is lower resolution in 4K compared to the ones that other people have shot online that is 8K, 12K. You can really tell the difference on here. So for now, before I actually sell it, for testing wise, I think it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll get ready for the next presentation. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. Yeah, round of applause.